Today we are going to be making this one ingredient maple cream or butter, whichever you call it. You can use this on donuts, which I made a recipe earlier. I will link below, toast, or any other types of desserts. So stay tuned for the recipe. Let's get started. So we are going to start with this 1 liter of maple syrup. It has to be pure maple syrup. And you are going to heat this up to medium or medium high. And next up, you are going to need a candy thermometer. I like this one. It was given to me by my aunt, and it has a little clamp here, which makes it easy to clamp onto your pot. By the way, I suggest you using a deep pot for this because it does bubble up and can overflow if it's not. Next up, we are going to fill a large bowl with ice. Mine is a little bit shallow, but whatever works for you. The bowl that you will be transferring the hot maple syrup in from the pot needs to fit in this ice bowl. So you'll see me here. I grab the bowl and try to fit it in and make sure it fits nice and stable and doesn't move around too much. This is where a bowl that you put the ice in might be better if it's a little bit taller, just because you don't want any accidents happening. This maple syrup will be very hot. Once the maple syrup hits to a temperature of 235 degrees, you're going to want to take this off the heat as soon as possible and pour it into the bowl over your ice bath. As you can see here, I had to stop because I didn't want it to overflow, which is why a bowl with the ice in it is better if it's a little bit taller so this doesn't happen. But I was able to figure it out, recenter it, and then pour the rest of the maple syrup that was in the pot into it. Once all of the maple syrup is sitting in the ice bath, you are going to allow this to cool. Do not stir it or anything yet. You are going to put your candy thermometer back in here and make sure that you wait until the temperature drops down to under 100 degrees. Also, depending on what type of season you're in, this took about 20 minutes for me. It was still kind of cold in the house. I set this over a towel and I'm going to start mixing. Around the edges of the bowl, I noticed it started to get really stiff and cold, so I'm using a wooden spoon here. Apparently, from what I've read, the electrical mixers won't work. A standalone may if you have the beater attachment, which you can kind of put on a slower setting. Otherwise, get ready because you are going to be stirring this for about 30 minutes. Yes, you heard me correctly, 30 minutes. This was after about stirring for 10 minutes. And my arm was sore, so I took little breaks in between. I think what got me really excited was seeing how the texture was changing as I was stirring. Because if you've ever tasted the simple maple butter or maple cream from the grocery store, you'd realize how amazing this stuff is, and it's unbelievable that it's just one ingredient. So here we go, continuously stirring, and I just like lifting it just to see how the texture keeps changing and changing. What's pretty cool while seeing the process of this transform is that there are so many textures that I could use for so many other recipes for different things. So I can't wait to experiment more with this. That last shot was after 20 minutes, and this here is 30 minutes of stirring. Your arm gets so tired, but this end result is so worth it. So once you hit this texture, you're going to want to either use it or transfer it into a container. I personally like to use glass jars for mine, but if you do not transfer it now, what it will start to do is harden up. And not too hard, but more of the consistency of a hard icing. It's basically just not as fluid as this here, which you'll see once you put yours away and store it. I personally keep mine in the fridge and then I reheat it on the stove as needed. I usually just scoop it up and put it into a pan and heat it up on low. It heats up very fast. And because of that, you don't want to heat it on high or it could again change the texture and it'll turn to candy. And that is all for this recipe. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.